August 2026. AI's craziest month ever. OpenAI is reportedly targeting a public listing as early as September with a prospectus that would finally reveal ChatGPT's real revenue margins and its financial relationship with Microsoft. Before we get to the money, let's talk about scale. ChatGPT has reportedly crossed roughly 1 billion weekly active users, making it one of the fastest adopted consumer products in history. As CEO Sam Altman is steering OpenAI toward its most consequential event, yet a public offering that would put the company's books under permanent scrutiny. Despite the massive user base, reports suggest OpenAI could post a projected loss of around $14 billion for 2026 as it burns cash on compute. So how do the two biggest AI labs actually compare on the balance sheet? OpenAI is racing toward a public listing to raise fresh capital. Anthropic has stayed private funded instead through massive enterprise deals. OpenAI is still burning billions on compute and research. Anthropic surprised everyone by posting its first operating profit 2 years ahead of schedule. Speaking of Anthropic, its second quarter numbers turned heads across the industry. Anthropic posted around $10.9 billion in quarterly revenue, up roughly 130%, with its first operating profit landing well ahead of internal projections. Still the biggest name in consumer AI, OpenAI holds the top spot on sheer user reach, even as its financial picture stays messy heading into a public listing. Anthropic takes the number 2 spot, powered by enterprise adoption of Claude and a profitability story none of its rivals can currently match. Google just made its biggest AI leadership shakeup in years, moving Demis Hassabis to chairman and handing daily operations to Kore Kavachoglu while relocating DeepMind's coding teams from London to Mountain View. Google DeepMind rounds out the top 3, betting that a flatter structure and consolidated teams will finally close the gap with OpenAI and Anthropic. Demis Hassabis steps back from day-to-day operations into a chairman role, ending the long-running split between Google Brain and DeepMind teams across 2 continents. Here's a quick rundown of the other headlines shaping the month. OpenAI now offers zero data retention options for frontier model users aimed at enterprise and government customers. ChatGPT's ad-supported features are expanding further into European markets. Anthropic brought on its first global affairs chief as regulatory pressure builds worldwide. Analysts watching the pricing war say the math has fundamentally changed. The model that wins isn't the smartest one anymore, it's the cheapest one that's good enough. AI Insider has tweeted on X the following. Grok 4.6 just matched GPT-5.6 Sol on the intelligence index at the same price point. The gap at the top is basically gone. That sentiment has been echoed across the industry all week. The frontier models are converging fast, and price is becoming the real battlefield. 2 of the biggest names in AI just went head-to-head on benchmarks, and the results were closer than anyone expected. Here's how the leading models stacked up on independent benchmarks this month. GPT-5.6 Sol ties for the top spot on the intelligence index. Grok 4.6 matches it exactly at the same price tier. Claude Opus 5 trails slightly, but leads on coding-specific tasks. Gemini 3.7 rounds out the pack, undercutting everyone on price. Not every story this month was a celebration. Security researchers flagged a serious new risk. A scan of thousands of publicly shared agent session logs found exposed API keys, emails, and passwords hiding inside encrypted blobs. Researchers warned that weaker models could be used to decode reasoning traces from stronger proprietary ones. Several labs have already patched the issues after responsible disclosure. With agent security back in headlines, we want to know where public opinion actually stands. Only 38% say they fully trust AI agents with sensitive data. A clear majority, 62%, remain skeptical after this month's security disclosures. Trust is lagging well behind adoption, and that gap isn't closing anytime soon. OpenAI, Google, Anthropic, and xAI are all shipping at a pace nobody could have predicted just a year ago. This isn't a benchmark race anymore, it's a pricing war. Every provider is racing to the bottom on token costs. That's genuinely great news for developers and startups. But it's brutal for any company without deep pockets. Google isn't just reorganizing, it's also scaling fast. Gemini reportedly crossed 1 billion monthly active users this month, putting Google firmly back in the consumer AI conversation. Alibaba unveiled Qwen 3.8 Max, the largest open-weight model release to date, positioning it as a serious option for developers who want capability without a closed-source price tag. Let's put some real numbers on this pricing war everyone's talking about. OpenAI, Google, and DeepSeek have all slashed prices this month, with GPT 5.6 Luna down roughly 80% and Gemini flash cut by half, squeezing margins across the entire industry. At NVIDIA's SIGGRAPH keynote, Jensen Huang and his research team showcased breakthroughs in neural rendering and simulation, the hardware and graphics foundation powering this entire race. Cloudflare just launched Kitesurf, a browser runtime built specifically for AI agents, using a fraction of the resources of traditional browsers and letting agents autonomously pay for services through a new payment protocol. So why build a whole new browser runtime just for agents? Kitesurf reportedly uses 3 to 7 times less CPU and memory than Chromium. Chromium remains the default, but it wasn't designed with autonomous agents in mind. Kitesurf is purpose-built to run agent workflows at scale in the cloud. Chromium is still the standard for human browsing, not machine-driven automation. Both Google and OpenAI are racing to push autonomous task running agents deeper into everyday products rather than keeping them as research demos. While Silicon Valley races ahead, Europe is moving just as fast on regulation. As of early August, the European Union requires AI systems to clearly disclose that users are talking to a machine. New Claude models launched in the EU must now support machine-readable watermarks on AI-generated content to meet transparency rules. Here's exactly what changed under the EU's new framework. AI systems operating in the EU must now reveal their non-human nature during interactions. Newer Claude models are required to embed invisible watermarks, signaling AI involvement. Older models are expected to add the same capability in future updates. Away from consumer tech, the defense world hit a milestone of its own. DARPA completed the first real-world flight of an F-16 fighter jet fully controlled by artificial intelligence, a major step toward autonomous combat aviation. From autonomous fighter jets to AI-assisted logistics, defense agencies are integrating artificial intelligence into core military capability faster than ever. XAI climbs the ranking after Grok 4.6 matched the industry's top intelligence scores while expanding its context window to 500,000 tokens. Alibaba secures a spot in the top tier on the strength of Qwen 3.8 Max, proving open-weight models can go toe-to-toe with closed frontier labs. It's not just the model builders cashing in on the AI boom. Palantir posted a striking 93% jump in quarterly growth, riding the wave of enterprise and government AI contracts. Meta unveiled Muse Code, a new AI coding assistant built on MuseSpark 1.2, priced aggressively to undercut rival developer tools. So how does Meta's new coding assistant actually stack up against the current favorite? Muse Code undercuts most rivals on price, targeting cost-sensitive development teams. Claude Code sits at a premium price point, but leads independent rankings for long, autonomous sessions. Muse Code can run multiple sub-agents in parallel to speed up complex tasks. Claude Code is currently ranked first among coding harnesses for depth of tooling and workflow control. Elon Musk's XAI pushed Grok 4.6 out just weeks after its predecessor, keeping pace with the industry's accelerating release cycle. AI Insider has tweeted on X the following: 11 major model releases in 20 days. Benchmarks that topped the charts 6 months ago are now middle of the pack. That pace is exactly why so many teams are struggling to keep their AI stack up to date in real time. With prices dropping across the board, we asked how much that actually influences developer choices. 57% say price cuts alone are enough to make them switch providers. 43% say they'll stick with what already works regardless of cost. Loyalty is thinning fast in a market this competitive. August 2026 proved AI moves faster than any industry before it. No single company can hold the top spot for long anymore. Regulation is finally catching up, at least in Europe. And the biggest winner of all might just be anyone paying the bill. Let's close with a number that sums up this entire month. 11 major AI models launched in just 20 days from 5 or more different providers, the fastest pace the industry has ever recorded. With OpenAI's IPO filing expected any day and Grok 4.7 already rumored the next 30 days could move just as fast as the last 30. We'll be tracking every release,